Hi, this is Corey Johnston, and today's lesson is going to begin in the 23rd verse of Matthew's 24th chapter, and we're going to try and make it all the way through. This is known as the Mount Olivet Discourse, and there are parallel accounts in each of the synoptics, Mark 13 and Luke 21, but the progression of events which leads up to the passage we'll be taking off from today consist of, in the 23rd chapter, we find him verbally combating Pharisaical antagonists. Then at the beginning of the 24th, we read that he had walked away from the temple, and in the company of his disciples, one of them remarks about the lovely and aesthetic qualities of the temple, and he frankly predicts that not one stone would be left standing, and this prediction would come to pass in 40 years, after which time the discourse evolves into speaking of the end times, the last days, the last of the last days, and so this is some distance between the immediately fulfilled prophecy. So of the 1,500 predictive prophecies in the Bible that have come to pass, there remain 500 which have not yet come to pass, and you can bet your bottom dollar, given the uncanny accuracy of the other 1,500, that this too will come to pass. And the day is not far away, some think, but ultimately we're discouraged from idle speculation as to the day and hour. But we do read that there will be geopolitical chaos and turmoil. Nations will rise against nations, wars, rumors of wars, famine, pestilence, and the other element will be marked by a widespread religious deception. So there will come messianic pretenders and false prophets who point to these false messiahs, and this actually forms the foundation of where we're going to be picking off. But he just warns them. So these are the conditions, and that being said, we're going to take it from the 23rd verse, and he warns them as early as the 11th verse that false prophets will rise, but here he speaks of false messiahs. If anyone then says to you, "Look, here is Messiah," or "There," do not believe. For false messiahs and false prophets shall arise, and they shall show great signs and wonders, so as to deceive, if possible, even the elect. So therein we learn that there's going to be false messiahs, great signs and wonders. Now when the Messiah came to his people, he performed miracles on behalf of the Father, and they rejected the witness of the Father, and they rejected his claim. But this one, the false messiahs, the plural, there's going to be more than one, as evidenced by the plurality. So messiahs will perform signs and wonders and be accepted even by the professing church. So Satan has no need to deceive those who already belong to him. He is a liar and a thief, and he will convince us that which is not true in order to steal our salvation. So the church, as soon as you become born again, you have a mark on your head. You have a bullseye on your head, because Satan, he takes no greater joy in parading the skull of a saint back to the dens of hell. See, I have forewarned you. So if they say to you, "Look, he is in the desert," do not go out. Or, "Look, he is in the inner rooms," do not believe. So he's telling them in advance what they need to know now. He's telling his disciples, and through them to the present-day disciples, what we need to know. And the dramatic, now he came as a babe in a manger, and he returned in obscure humility and resurrected form. But when he comes as the conquering king, which was the Jewish expectations of their Messiah, it will be a dramatic event, unmistakable, unambiguous. There's going to be no bones about it. No one's going to be left out. No one's going to miss it. No one's going to not know when he comes there. So there's no sense in going to the desert or the secret chambers to find a Messiah who is not what others claim he is, or he himself claims. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines to the west, so also shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Lightning is one of the ways that divinity speaks to us. He speaks to us through his words, and when he can't reach us, when we fail to receive the communication, he speaks to us in works. So the great lightning and great thunder, it's going to be all across the sky. It's going to be nothing like anyone's ever seen, and that will usher in the second coming of the Messiah and the millennial dispensation. For whatever the dead body is there, the vultures shall be gathered together. That's just what vultures do. They pick out the dead remains of carcasses, and there will be death at this day, because it is a day of judgment and salvation. Judgment for the wicked, salvation for the saints. And immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from the heavens, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. So not only is there geographical and geopolitical turmoil, there is cosmic chaos and disequilibrium at this momentous event. And distress is alternately translated as tribulation. Now there is tribulations, and then there is the tribulation, which is to be the 7-year period during which time the anti-Messiah will rise and rule. He is the ultimate messianic pretender, and he will rise to power by performing miracles, and as a peacemaker, he's going to quell the chaos in the Middle East, and the details of his doings are more explicitly outlined in the book of Revelation, but for now it suffices to say that every item in creation, both in the cosmos and in the earth, are subjected to his whims and under his control. He can make the stars, every single one of them, vanish and drop in a second. And in the new heaven and new Jerusalem, we have we read that there is no need for a sun or a temple, because Elohim will serve in those capacities for us. And the sign of the Son of Man shall appear in the heavens, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of the heavens, with power and much esteem. So all, 3-letter word, all, that's indicative of every universal, all the tribes, all the nations, all the peoples of the earth will be brought to mourning, because they will come to the rude and sudden awakening that they had missed their opportunity. They had died in their sins, and they will experience hell and death and judgment. And they will see the Messiah come accompanied by clouds, and and he's going to be surrounded by power and esteem. And he shall set his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the 4 winds, from one end of the earth, of the heavens to the other. So all the saints marked from the east to the west, the north to the south, will be gathered in the moment in time by his legion of angels, and it's going to come with a sound of a trumpet. And so that's how we're going to know that the gathering is about to commence. And so he speaks to us in lightnings and then the sound of a trumpet. So either way, he's in one form or another always speaking to us. And learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tendered and puts forth leaves, you know that the summer is near. Now the day of his arrival, the day of his return, no man knows the day or the hour, but we do know the season. So all of the aforementioned phenomenon, the rumors of war, the famine, pestilence, etc., false Christ, false messiahs, false prophets, that's how we're going to know it's the season. So that's when we need to watch more attentively, and we should be watching, working, witnessing at all times and in all places. But with anyone who follows the news knows that several of the events are in motion, which have been foretold in ancient prophecy. And so I believe personally that the day is near, and it may come within the next 150 years. So also, when you see these, know that he is near, at the door. So by the analogy of dating the time of the year by the output or the fruit of a tree or the condition of it, so too they may know that the end times is upon them, and it's going to get worse before it gets better, but then it's going to get better like it's never been good before. The heavens and the earth shall pass away, but my word shall by no means pass away. So this event is going to be the consummation of human history, in which the physical heavens and earth pass away, but his word is eternal. His word is always with us. His word created the universe, which will pass away at this moment in time. He spoke everything into existence. He said, "Let there be light," and it was simply like that. As soon as he commanded, it became. And the word in words, the Messiah is referred to as the word. The scripture is also referred to the word, so it has a dual dimension. of what that entails. But concerning that day and the hour, no one knows, not even the angels of the heavens, but my Father only. So even he implicitly doesn't know. So part of the incarnation was that he voluntarily surrendered the fullness of his divine attributes, omniscience, omnipotence. So he didn't know which day he came, and the information was secret, even from the angels of heaven. It was something known and planned and kept secret by the Father only for his wise and good purpose. Now the Son, in all likelihood, does know the day now that he is resurrected in fully divine form and enjoying or experiencing the fullness of his attributes that he voluntarily surrendered and set aside when he walked the earth among men. And as the days of Noah, so also shall the coming of the Son of Man be. So Noah is the figure we read of in the antediluvian period, anti meaning pre, diluvian meaning flood. His story encompasses Genesis 6 through 10. So at that day, great total judgment of the entire earth came with the flood, and the new judgment is going to come with the fire. And because he promised Noah at the conclusion of it that he would never destroy all life on earth again. For as they were in the days before the flood, eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. So Noah was building this gargantuan wooden ark in the middle of the desert, far away from any body of water, and his neighbors were going about their daily lives, going about their business, which in the sin-degenerate condition was sinful, but they went through the courses of life. They did their daily routines, and all of a sudden it was all for naught because Noah entered into the ark, and they weren't laughing at him. They weren't left to laugh at him when he was surviving the flood, which subsumed all land-dwelling creatures. And they did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Now, as far as we know, there was no prelude or premonition to the flood which came, except that which was given to Noah. But we are privileged to know that the second of coming is something we have to await for, it's something we have to prepare for, and it's something we have to be ready for. And at all times and in all ways, he could come tomorrow. And if we are like the people of the flood who are enmeshed in the trivialities and the redundant aspects of life, we will miss the miracle unfolding, and we will be on the other side of the divide of death and life when that day comes. Then two shall be in the field, the one is taken and the one is left. So there's going to be a division of death amongst the human race. So of the two that come in the field, only one will survive. Two shall be grinding at the mill. One is taken and one is left. Again, the principle is parallel. There's going to be a selection of survival of the fittest, and what forms the fittest for supernatural survival as opposed to natural is the righteous character of our hearts. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your master is coming. So the mystery and the ignorance and the not knowing when or invites or entails the necessity to watch. That means to be attentive to the machinations and the unfolding phenomenon which is leading to this great and momentous day. And as he earlier said, no man knows the day or the hour, but we do know the seasons, and hence we are responsible for forming our action on the basis of our watching. And know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. So for a home breaking and entering or a home invasion, it's strategically advantageous for the master neither to be there, the owner of the home to neither be there nor know the hour of the coming. The thief's deception is entirely contingent on him not knowing that he's coming, and if possible, not knowing that he's ever been. So by the same, now we are likened to the homeowner in this situation, and the adversary is the thief, as we read of in John 10:1, and he's coming to steal our salvation by deceiving us through misplaced faith in a false Messiah. Because of this, be ready too, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour when you do not expect him. So since we do not expect it, we have to expect the unexpected and to never lose something or somewhat of a paradox in that expecting the unexpected raises our expectations for that expected moment and event. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom the master put over the household, to give them food in season? So the common practice amongst homeowners was to lease out their property, the management and oversight of it, to faithful servants, and faithfulness in this context entails obedience and integrity and not taking that which doesn't belong to you, and tending to the welfare and the betterment of that which does not belong to you. We are all stewards. Nothing we own, nothing we claim to own, we really own. Everything in this created order belongs to its creator. Blessed is the servant whom his master, having come, shall find so doing. So the master, we are the servants, and the thief is Satan, and the master is Yahweh. And so when he returns, or Yahshua more specifically, when he returns, he is going to be pleased and accepting that we were doing the work, we were attending to our duties. And there is more than merely watching alone. The Thessalonians, the juxt of Paul's motivation was that false teachers and heretics had crept in unaware after he had founded it and instilled the lie that the second coming was coming any day now. So this induced a plague of laziness amongst the Thessalonian assemblies, who saw no need to work. But we have to be working at all times. We have to bring the kingdom to the earth in whatever limited ways we can before its full, sudden, complete, and total arrival. But if that evil servant says in his heart, my master is delaying his coming, and begins to beat his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunkards, the master of that servant shall come on a day when he does not expect it, and at an hour he does not know. So the dichotomy is contrasted between the untrustworthy and unfaithful steward or servant who takes it upon himself to act like it's his belonging, it's his property. He can treat anyone under the roof, which is not really his, as he deems fit. He can eat and drink and indulge in gluttony, and he's going to be in for a rude awakening, because the whole reason he engaged in such reckless behavior and activity was under the false assurance that his master would not return, but he's going to come when he expects it not, and he's going to find him with his hands in the cookie jar, and it's not going to end well for him. And shall cut him in two, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So this is a vision of hell, where is the place where hypocrites dwell, and hypocrisy is the vice which pays virtue homage. So there's no shortage of hypocrisy in the church in any age, and this is one of the main arguments that skeptics and naysayers try to utilize against the existence of organized religion, the hypocrisy of it all. But religion cannot save you. Yahshua alone can. And he has no use for the religious hypocrites, the ones who speak in his name, but their hearts are far from him. He's going to tell them when they arrive at the judgment, depart from me, I knew you not. And gnashing and weeping, that's just not a pleasant sight, indicative of carnivorous animals which will consume our flesh, and they are built to bite. And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Excuse me. Held that one into the final.